Well, good morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone from Massachusetts. Oh my goodness, my dog is awake and barking. We just went for a walk and I hope she'll be quiet, but we'll see. We have about an hour together and hopefully my dog will cooperate and not bark the whole time. She's usually very good. But welcome to those who are already here. I'm going to do a quick check on my laptop to make sure that audio and video are good. If you want to give me a thumbs up or a yes in the chat that you can see me and hear me, that would be great. Okay, looks like we're good to go. All right. If you'd like to participate in the chat and you don't see that option yet, you need to click join and then you can become a member of my channel. You'll get access to the live chat today, and I'll also be sharing, as usual, some follow-up tasks on the community tab after this. I also welcome members to submit questions and requests in advance. We have a good one that I prepared some tasks for. A request was sent in with a great topic, connectors, connecting words, so we'll get into that in just a moment. If any of my members are here, feel free to say hi in the chat. And again, if you want to become a member, please do click join, and you can join the chat as well as get access to an exclusive collection of previously recorded live streams from the past. So it's like 13 hours of recordings. There's lots to gain for just $1 a month, and I appreciate the support from all my members. Thank you, guys. Okay, so let me work my magic and see if I can share my screen, and hopefully some of my members will join in the chat because I'm going to give you all a quiz soon. Okay, here comes the magic. I have to remember how to switch to my screen. I'm still waking up. There we go. I wonder if you can see what I see. I'll take a look at my laptop to make sure the quiz is visible. We're going to start with a quiz to see what you remember and what you know about connecting words. I have 4 questions on the screen. I'll go as big as I can so you can see them. Okay, how about that? Okay, and just some context here. I'll be drawing examples from my movie power pack. I love to talk about movies, write about them, share materials. Sometimes on Patreon, whatever our topic is, I'll draw from different movie scenes that I think really nicely contextualize the language point that we're studying. Movies are a really wonderful context for language, right? So I hope you love movies just as much as I do. And in this first quiz, we have examples taken from one of my favorite movies, which is Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. So if you haven't seen it, check out the trailer, look for clips on YouTube. It's a wonderful movie, good for language learning and also good for discussion. And it's just plain entertaining. I enjoy it very much. Okay. I'm going to read each question and pause. That will give you time to choose the correct connecting word. Again, these connecting words join ideas together. We have different technical terms for them, what kind of conjunction we're talking about, but connectors is a simpler way to talk about this. Words that connect. Okay, so let me read the first one. Groundhog Day is not the most exciting holiday in America. Is Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, known to be the most interesting town in the U.S. Again, this is the name of a town and a state. That's my home state of Pennsylvania. So my question is, which of these connecting words fits? I'll pause for a moment and let you think. Okay. What we're doing is we have these ideas about Groundhog Day not being the most exciting holiday, and then another idea about Punxsutawney not being the most interesting town. So this is not so exciting, this is not interesting. The way we're joining it is by saying, here's idea 1 and here's idea 2. So we need a connecting word that creates an addition. We're going to have an addition, one more additional idea. But we need to pay attention to the fact that this is negative, and then we want to say this first idea is negative and this second idea is also negative. So the connecting word that we need when we create an addition and it's one more negative thing is nor. Okay? There's another clue here. Because nor is negative, it forces inversion. The subject and verb switch places. So I could say Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania is not known. Right? It's not the most interesting, but because I'm reversing it, I'm putting the verb first. Verb and then subject. Nor is Punxsutawney known. Okay? So nor allows us to tag on an addition. We're connecting a negative addition. Okay? Hey, my hippo's here. Just in time. Let me read it again. Groundhog Day is not the most exciting holiday in America, nor is Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, known to be the most interesting town in the U.S. Nor is a little bit more formal. We use it more in writing, probably, than in speaking, but it is an important and helpful conjunction to have. Okay? Let me scroll to number 2. Actually, you can see I'll just go a little bit bigger. I know some of you are watching on your phones, so the screen is small. Again, these examples are from Groundhog Day. Number 2, Phil is just a visiting TV weatherman, or we could say weather reporter, weather forecaster, you choose. Phil is just a visiting TV weatherman. Now he is permanently trapped there, and it takes a while to figure out his new reality. I'll pause for a moment and let you choose. Think to yourself, what kind of relationship are we creating between the two ideas? Okay, he's visiting, he's trapped there. There's a contrast, right? He's visiting, he's trapped there, but now he's trapped there. We need a contrast, right? He visits this place every year, but now he's trapped there. So again, we have idea 1, idea 2. We're going to connect them. And what's the relationship between the two ideas? There's a contrast. So but is a great contrast word. So it's very, very important to understand when you're joining ideas together, what kind of relationship are you trying to create? Because these little words are probably familiar to you, and, but, so. Then there are higher level words that basically serve the same purpose, but you need to always be clear on what relationship you're trying to create. Okay? Yes. Very good, my hippo. He's just visiting. Like usually he just visits that place, but now he's permanently trapped there. And that's the whole story of this movie. There's a guy who's visiting Punxsutawney on Groundhog Day, and he's visiting because he's just a local weatherman doing a report. But now he's trapped in this place and he cannot get out. It takes a while to figure out, to understand his new reality. Okay, let's go to number 3. I'll scroll down. Phil must learn who he is and who he wants to be. We watch his transformation. We witness how he is able to shed his discontent. Shed is to let go of, right? Remove. Discontent, that feeling of not being happy with his life. So he's not a happy guy necessarily, not happy with what's going on in his life in general. And through the events that take place in this movie, he sheds that discontent. He gets rid of those negative feelings and works towards personal happiness. Okay, I'll pause for a moment and you can think. Yes, I agree. So you have a choice here. I just told you, you need to choose what kind of relationship are you going to create. Do you see a time relationship, like on a timeline, or do you see a reason, a cause? And I agree with my hippo, right? As is like while. As we watch his transformation, we witness how he is able to shed his discontent. So throughout the movie, while we are watching this, we witness how he's able to change and get rid of those negative feelings. He is able to shed his discontent. And I hope you're picking up on the fact that as you read these kinds of sentences, you're not only reinforcing grammar, you also have the opportunity to pick up vocabulary, to learn new words, or words that you know, but we're reinforcing them because the more you see them, the better you can remember them, and then the more confident you are when it comes time to trying to use them. So movie reviews are wonderful for listening, for reading, for grammar, for vocabulary. These sentences are taken directly from some of the movie reviews that I've written and shared, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. Okay? All right, so as, it's a time relationship. Last one. My question is, let's move this up here. Is this sentence correct or not, the way that it's written? Let me read it. Each character is important and Phil's small world. You learn to appreciate each one, just as Phil does. Is that written correctly? I'll go a little bigger so you can think about it. I do often recommend that when you write something, you read it aloud to see how it sounds, because as you read it aloud, you may catch some mistakes, you might fix typos, you might think of a better way to improve your sentence structure. So it's really good to read aloud. However, I will warn you that sometimes, although when we read aloud it sounds correct, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've punctuated the sentence correctly. Your punctuation may not be accurate. So there's a clue. Grammatically, each clause, each idea here is expressed well, but there is a mistake with punctuation. Do you see it? Remember what a sentence is. A sentence is a complete idea with a subject and a predicate, a subject and a verb. And you think, okay, well, let's look at these ideas. Here's the first one. Each character is important. You learn to appreciate each one, just as Phil does. You have a couple more here. Do you see up here how we connected with this kind of a conjunction, comma nor, comma but? This was a type of connecting word where we can start the sentence with that word, and then a comma was possible. So you need to know how these different connectors work. Do you see the mistake? This is good. This is good. This is possible only because we have this word at the beginning. What's lacking here is a connecting word, because what we're simply doing here is putting a comma. We don't want to just keep sticking commas after an idea and then go on to the next one. That's called a comma splice. I'll put that there. Yes, my hippo got it. We need some connecting word right there. Either you need to end that sentence and start a new one, but if you want a comma, then you need to give a connecting word. And again, what is the relationship? Each character's important small worlds. You could do it like and you learn to appreciate each one. They're all important, and you can appreciate them just like Phil does And here's just as Phil does. We have a connecting word. But again, you can't just stick commas and keep going on with idea after idea. That's a comma splice. You either need to end a sentence with a period and start your next idea, or it's a conjunction, a connecting word. Okay? Okay, great, great, great. So that's our first quiz, meaning if this is like, whoa, I sort of get it, but I have some doubts, then it means we need to practice. And you know, there's lots of wonderful interactive quizzes online if you just type in conjunctions, quiz, conjunctions, quiz, or connecting words, quiz, connectors, quiz, and you'll find some. A lot of the quizzes give some explanation if you choose the wrong answer. But if you have questions, that's why you have teachers to ask. Like Jennifer, I took a quiz and they told me I was wrong. Why is this one wrong? That's when you need to ask somebody. Because sometimes on those quizzes, more than one answer is correct. And sometimes there could be a mistake. You know, the quizzes are written by humans and humans make mistakes. Okay. All right. So those sentences came from my movie Power Pack. This is a collection of 10 movie reviews for listening and vocabulary, and it is free. So if you haven't accessed it yet, you just click the link, give your email, and then you can download the movie Power Pack. And there's a how-to video that gives some suggestions on how best to work with these materials. Again, I've prepared both audio and text. You can use them separately or together, so you can work on reading, listening, and then any form of reading is really great, you know, to build vocabulary and grammar and to reinforce what you already know. Hey, Stunning Lad One. Okay, let me actually put that in here, if I can get that in the chat. Okay, I just stuck that in the link. Again, these sentences came from my movie Power Pack. One of the movies that I talk about in that Power Pack is Groundhog Day. So if you like movies, you can enjoy small reviews where I give my opinions and reactions to each film. And as I said, it's a wonderful way to build and reinforce grammar and vocabulary. Okay, onward. Okay, and as I would go through, if other questions come up, I will be checking the chat. If you'd like to participate in the chat, like Ma Hippo and Stunning Lad One, feel free to click join and you'll become a member and you'll have access to the chat. Okay, fanboys. Who knows that acronym? Do you remember what they are and how to use them? What are fanboys? What are the fanboys? What does this mean? I'll give you a hint. Well, if we come back up here, an example, an example. So my question here, let's go to this right here. In these two statements, these are excerpts also from my movie Power Pack on Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood and Martian with Matt Damon. You can read them and see if you can pick out the fanboys, those of you who know what fanboys are, and then I'll give the full explanation. So let me pause for a moment, let your eyes scan and see if you can pick out some fanboys. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the first one, Gran Torino, the movie wouldn't be able to tell the story genuinely without all the violence and strong language. So brace yourself for a strong impact. Brace, get ready. Brace yourself for a strong impact. The one that jumps out here is so, but technically, here we go with and. So it's not just to join whole ideas, you can also join small words and phrases. Violence and strong language, two noun phrases, all the violence and strong language. But so is a fanboy that's joining two ideas. There's the first idea and the second idea. In The Martian, the movie and the book, here it is, yeah, has a lot of strong language, but I feel that the dialogue is natural and appropriate for every situation. So again, you see that and is very common. We need it to create an addition, right? And the addition could be another word, another phrase, or it could be another clause. Here, there's our fanboy right there. But here's our first idea, and here's the second idea, right? And there's a contrast between the two. With the fanboys, it's comma conjunction. Conjunction is just a word for connecting word. Technically, we're talking about coordinating conjunctions. Coordinating, coordinate, right? Put together, coordinating conjunctions. There's different kinds. These are coordinating conjunctions, and I see that, yes, Stunning Lad 1 listed them out for us. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Exactly. Let me go smaller so it doesn't get too big here. Okay. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. It's just a way to remember them, right? If you're like, what's a fanboy? Yeah, the coordinating conjunctions. It's easy to remember this word, this name, fanboys, and then you can remember the coordinating conjunctions. These allow us to join complete ideas together. We could have separate sentences, but if we feel it works better to create a connection and show the relationship, we can do that with coordinating conjunctions. Okay, you can do it once. There's also possibilities of doing like 3 clauses. So you might have 2 coordinating conjunctions, right? Okay, yep. Please feel free to comment if you've actually seen these movies. I can't say like they're absolutely my favorites, my absolute favorites, but they're interesting enough that I'd say, yeah, it's a good story, and they're original. So I think they're somewhat thought-provoking. They touch upon themes that are worth talking about and being aware of. So Gran Torino and The Martian, but they both have some strong language. This one has some violence, so brace yourself, but it's a good story overall. Okay. Fanboys, in contrast with subordinating conjunctions. Look at that. Coordinating, subordinating. Subordinate, there's a lower one. So with subordinating conjunctions, we're putting ideas together. There's one main idea, one main clause. And again, clauses have subjects and verbs. The subordinating clause is the dependent clause. It cannot stand alone. It needs to be joined with the main clause. And so we need the subordinating conjunction to mark it and show the relationship to the main clause. Okay. Hey, Edgar's here. Edgar Trevino Castillo. Hello. Glad to have you here. All right. Look at these ones. 1, 2, 3. Let me make sure you can see them on your screen. How's that? Okay. So I'm going to read these 3 examples, again from my movie Power Pack, Jumanji, The Wedding Singer, and The Martian again. As I read, feel free to put in the chat what you think the subordinating conjunction is, the word that helps us connect ideas together, and the word that shows the relationship between the 2 ideas. Okay? All right, Jumanji. This is the second one, by the way, the sequel. Oh, yeah, there's 3 now, right? So this is the second one. When I went to the movie theater with my kids to see Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, I didn't have high expectations. And as I commented earlier, movies and talking about movies allow us to pull together all the vocabulary and grammar that we know. So I really hope that if you don't have my movie Power Pack yet, look in the chat, click the link and get it. It's free, right? Great collocation here. Have high expectations. I didn't have high expectations. I love both versions of Jumanji. I love Robin Williams in general. But this one really surprised me and I really enjoyed it, found it very entertaining. Okay, so where are the 2 ideas? Subject verb, I went, I didn't have. So here's my first clause and here's my second. Which one can stand alone as a sentence? This one. I didn't have high expectations. If I simply say, when I went to the movie theater, you're waiting for more. That's a dependent clause. So dependent clauses need to join with a main clause for us to make a sentence. Now, when we're speaking in conversation, we do speak in fragments. Fragments are incomplete sentences. When you're writing informally, you can also use fragments. But if you're doing any kind of academic or business writing or professional writing, you want complete sentences. In general, that's the guideline. So we need to put these two clauses together and we have what's called a complex sentence. Let me write that down. Sorry, I typed slowly. But Mahip, I think oh, no, Stunning Lad 1, you asked the question. When is it coordinating? When is it subordinating, right? So here we have subordinating conjunctions. It's a time relationship, right? So when I went to the movies, I didn't have high expectations. These ideas are related by a time relationship, right? So this is my dependent clause. This is my independent clause. An independent clause can stand by itself. When we have this mix of dependent and independent, that's a complex sentence, okay? Complex. Versus compound. Fanboys allow us to create compound sentences because this could stand by itself as a sentence, and this could stand by itself as a sentence. So fanboys allow us to create compound sentences. Let me type that. Yes, okay, so both Stunning Lad 1 and I gave some clarity there. We find coordinating conjunctions and compound sentences. Compound sentences are formed with the fanboys, okay? Number 2, if you're a fan of 1980s music, you'll fall in love with the soundtrack and story of The Wedding Singer, right? Have you seen that one? It's funny. And I am a fan of 1980s music. Do you see the the subordinator, the subordinating conjunction? See the importance of quotation marks for clarity too. I get it now. Okay, we have 2 clauses. If you're a fan of 1980s music, you'll fall in love with the soundtrack and story. This is the dependent clause that can stand by itself, right? We're joining it with the dependent clause. We don't have a time relationship, it's a condition. So when we talk about conditionals or conditional sentences, these are complex sentences, the condition and the result, right? And they need to go together. The condition cannot exist by itself. It has to be joined with a dependent clause, the result. Okay. Martian. I like to read whatever my children are assigned for summer reading, and The Martian was on his reading list as he was entering the 9th grade. For context, this sentence was pulled out of my movie review, so I referred to my daughter and my son, and so that's why. If you're like, why are you jumping straight into he and his? This sentence was pulled out from my movie review, so it's understood that his refers to my sons, okay? We could change that. Maybe we could do my sons for clarity. Okay. We have a lot going on in this sentence. We do have a fanboy here, by the way, right? But what we're looking at this. as he was entering the 9th grade, a time relationship. Okay? Because I cannot say as he was entering the 9th grade all by itself. That's a fragment. It's a dependent clause, and it needs to join with the rest of the sentence in order to make sense. But what's interesting about this sentence is we actually have one, I like to read. There's actually a lot of clauses in here, whatever my children are assigned. But here's the basic first idea. I like to read what they're assigned for summer reading. Now, inside that sentence, there are actually 2 clauses, but there's our first idea, and I'm adding another idea. This book, The Martian, was on his list. That's why I'm using a fanboy. And so there's the first idea, I'm joining it with the second, and now I actually have a time clause here, as he was entering the 9th grade. So this shows a time relationship, and it's my dependent clause. So it is possible to have a mix of complex compound. So a complex compound sentence does have a fanboy, but then there's also this dependent clause. And that's the beauty of these conjunctions, is that we can creatively join ideas together as long as the relationship is logical and clear. But you want to be careful with really long sentences, right? You wouldn't want to go too much longer than this because it becomes difficult for your reader to follow with this many ideas stuck together. But again, the conjunctions help us create clarity, and your reader can understand how all your ideas are logically connected. Okay? Yes. Edgar, you got it. So when, if, and as are examples of subordinating conjunctions. All the time words, after, before, while, when, as soon as. The conditions, if, only if, even if, right? There are other words like because, right, for a time relationship. Because is a typical conjunction that often creates fragments. Some people think it's enough to write because it's interesting. And again, informally, that idea makes sense, but it is a fragment, and in more formal writing, it needs to be joined with an independent clause, right? I like movies because they're interesting. All right, so we have coordinating conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions, and now we're going to move finally to conjunctive adverbs, sentence adverbs. There's a couple different names at least. So I'm going to read this next excerpt from another movie review on Sully, and we'll see if you can spot the conjunctive adverb. Okay. The news story was huge, and Sully quickly gained national attention. The media called him a hero, and the public applauded the landing. However, behind the scenes, Sully and his co-pilot, Jeff Skiles, had to endure a very stressful investigation and hearing. And for more context, Sully is the story about the Miracle on the Hudson, the plane that didn't crash, but it had to make an emergency water landing on the river in the middle of New York City. And so the pilot, Sully, was called a hero. It's a very interesting movie. Clint Eastwood, I believe, also directed and produced, but at least directed this with Tom Hanks. Good story, very well told. Yes. Let's see who agrees with Stunning Lad 1. We have a lot going on, so because we have more than one sentence, right? In the first sentence, you see a fanboy. Idea 1, we're having an addition. Idea 2. Okay. I decided to use the same conjunction. And again, these are movie reviews. They're not overly formal. If I wanted to super polish them and make them extra formal, I'd probably create more variety with my connecting words. But the truth is, we love to use fanboys in everyday writing, and especially in conversation. Now here's the next one, and you see this word at the beginning, Stunning Lad 1, noted it, however, and Ma Hippo agrees. And what you see is a position where it's at the beginning, and you're thinking, well, we've seen other conjunctions at the beginning, like when and if, aha, yes, but look, when goes immediately into the idea, subject verb. If then goes immediately into subject verb. Same thing here, as he was. So with sentence adverbs, it's a word or a short little phrase at the beginning of a sentence, and then it's followed by a comma, right? So that's a sentence adverb. It comes usually at the beginning of a sentence, and it's connecting to the sentence before it. And again, we have those same kind of relationships. It could be a contrast. It could be an addition. This is a word of contrast. And there's a couple different ways. Some people, this is probably the most common one and the one I'd recommend learning first. In more formal writing, you'll see a semicolon like this. That is also possible. However, that's more formal. I would really recommend this one overall. Okay. Very good. So again, we had our coordinating conjunctions, fanboys, subordinating conjunctions, and our sentence adverbs, conjunctive adverbs. And remember, the fanboys allowed us to create compound sentences, and the subordinating conjunctions allowed us to create complex sentences. Our sentence adverbs allow us to connect any kind of sentence to another one, as long as the relationship is clear and logical. Okay. Any questions? I'll be checking the chat. I know I'm throwing a lot at you. So we're going to do another quiz. I'll do one question at a time. Okay. Please pause for a moment, give others a chance to think as well. Can we switch the order of the clauses here? If you've read other reviews of mine, you know I have appreciation for Tom Hanks and Clint Eastwood. Now, technically, there are actually 3 clauses here, but the idea is, can I switch around the order of this sentence? Do you see another way to sequence the ideas? And more specifically, okay, here's the first clause. And then here's the second idea. Technically, you know that I have. So this is technically one clause followed by another, because this clause becomes the object of know. That's another piece of grammar. But I'm asking, can I put this after this? Yes or no? Moreover, stunning lad one is a sentence adverb. Moreover, comma, that would be to express an addition. Yes, my hippo. Okay, so yes, it could be what? I could do it like this. You know I have appreciation for Tom Hanks and Clint Eastwood if you've read other reviews of mine. Yes, it's possible. Okay, so that's something that we do when we have those complex sentences. Very often we can switch the order of the clauses. So if we scroll back to this section, you see I could say you'll fall in love with the soundtrack and story of The Wedding Singer if you're a fan of 1980s music. Or I didn't have high expectations when I went to the movie theater with my kids to see Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. So it's your choice what you want to put at the front of the sentence. And so with these kinds of complex sentences, we can often switch the order of ideas. Okay? Yes, it's possible. Very good. Okay, 2. How many clauses do you see? Do we need a comma? Yeah, with moreover, I'd go with a whole idea. I like videos. I like videos. I'm thinking, moreover, I enjoy making them and sharing them. Maybe something like that. Okay. Clauses, subject, verb. Everyone was rescued. No one died. Right? This is true. From the Miracle on the Hudson, the plane landed and it didn't crash. It landed. Everyone got out and everyone was saved. So technically you have a fanboy here and you have a compound sentence. First idea, and then we're adding the second one. But the comma, I would say, is optional. When the clauses tend to be short, very short, it becomes more of a choice for the writer. So I wouldn't say that the comma is absolutely necessary. So especially with very short clauses, a lot of writers choose to omit, to leave out the comma. But in general, it's comma conjunction with the fanboys, as we saw earlier. Okay? Yes, it's possible, but not necessary. A lot of writers would choose to leave it out, and I wouldn't identify that as incorrect. It's just a preference. So, okay? So just a little note there. Okay, three. Could we raise the level of formality and use a sentence adverb instead? The story is already familiar when we watch the movie. So it's up to the actors and director to show us layers and subtleties we didn't know about, right? There's like one level of the story, and if you want to go deep into a meaning, you can talk about layers. And subtleties are just small little parts, aspects, or elements of a movie or a book, and you don't easily notice them. You really have to think and reflect to understand them. So subtleties, it's like, wow, like, you know, certain directors have a gift for creating subtle enhancements to a picture, like how it's positioned, the kind of lighting, just little symbolic touches that enhance a scene. So it's up to the director to show us layers and subtleties we didn't know about. Again, it's wonderful to pick up grammar and vocabulary from movie reviews. Okay, I'll pause for a second. Especially right here is where you could increase the level of formality, but how? And here too. Right. Contractions in general are more typical of spoken and informal English, everyday English. If you're trying to go for a more formal tone in your writing or in your speaking, then you avoid contractions. And the sentence adverbs, the conjunctive adverbs like however, moreover, right? They tend to sound more formal. So the fanboys are more common in general. Yes. The story is already familiar when we watch the movie. Therefore, remember with however, so it is possible we could do this, but as I said, the more familiar pattern to people would be period, therefore. And again, I just mentioned, let's get rid of these full form, the contractions, and we'll use the full forms. Therefore, it is up to. Technically, up to, if you really want to elevate it, I would avoid kind of the idiomatic language. I might word this differently and say, it is, therefore, the actors and directors must rely on their skill to show us layers and subtleties. So you could also change the wording and elevate the vocabulary a bit. The story is already familiar when we watch the movie. Therefore, the actors and director must use their skills to show us or to reveal layers and subtleties. But in terms of conjunctions, we can replace so with therefore. The other step I'd do is to change contractions to full forms. Third step is to look at vocabulary, but I've offered some suggestions. I'm not going to write them right now, but you've heard my ideas on elevating the vocabulary as well. Replacing that, replacing this. If you want to have fun with a variation in the comments, you can do that. Okay. All right, last question. Oh, I have two more questions. Okay. What other subordinating conjunctions could be used in number 4? Look at that. Though based on a true story, Sully may not be accurate in every way. Though based on a true story, Sully may not be accurate in every way. Subordinating conjunction. What kind of relationship? A contrast. What other conjunctions can go in that place? Though, what else could we say? Though is, I'll probably go with even though, although. Yeah, I might do although based on a true story. I'd say although. Even though I'd prefer in a full clause. So I'd say although based on a true story. And so, okay, I'm reducing it here. So it comes from although the movie is, this is the full clause, and it was reduced. So maybe we'll put the full clause in so it's very clear to everybody. Okay? Let's put the subject and verb back in full form. Although the movie is based on a true story, Sully may not be accurate in every way. This is version 1. Version 2, though the movie is based on a true story. And then we could also do even though. Although, though, even though. And there was also a suggestion of using while. While is interesting. It often is a time word, right? Showing at the same time. But it could also be a word of contrast, a connector that expresses contrast. Okay? So again, I'll put the original back in there. But no, we could use although, even though, while. If we switch this to a compound sentence, the only choice would be but. The movie is based on a true story, but Sully may not be accurate in every way. And if you wanted to go into two separate sentences and have the sentence adverb, the movie is based on a true story, however, right, could work here. The movie is based on a true story. However, Sully may not be accurate in every way. So the beauty of being familiar with the different types of conjunctions is that you're opening up your choices. You could use a fanboy, but, and create a compound sentence. You can choose a coordinating conjunction and create a complex sentence. Though, although, even though, while. Or we could have two separate sentences and use a conjunctive adverb, a sentence adverb, in this case, however. The punctuation would change though, however, comma. Okay? Yes. And semicolons allow us to join ideas without any connectors. Semicolons allow us to put two sentences together as long as the relationship is very, very clear, like a contrast or an addition, something like that. But I don't recommend overusing that pattern. You want to use semicolons carefully, with caution. Don't overuse them. And they're more typical in formal writing. Last question. What other sentence adverb could be used here? Nevertheless, we need heroes and we need inspiration. And again, this sentence was pulled out of a movie review. So before that, we understand there's something like, the movie is full of fictitious adventures, fictitious, yes, yet inspirational adventures. Maybe, or it's not easy to find such inspirational characters. Nevertheless, we need heroes and we need inspiration. I think I was writing about Sully. I can't remember exactly what I was writing, but I think this one was pulled out of Sully. Again, with semicolons, they tend to be more formal, so I would use them more with more formal language, which means I take out contractions. Even so. Yes, I could do even so. You could do that. Even so, we need heroes, we need inspiration. You could also do nonetheless, nevertheless, very formal, but even so works. Even so, we need heroes and inspiration. Okay. Excellent, guys. What I'd encourage you to do is create some examples. I will have some follow-up tasks on the community tab for members with coordinating conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions, and sentence adverbs. Fanboys are probably the most familiar group to you. You probably already know quite a number of the subordinating conjunctions, like if, while, when, etc. These sentence adverbs are less familiar, probably, because they're higher level words in terms of vocabulary. You learn them later. Words like therefore, nevertheless, nonetheless, right? As a result, etc. Okay? So if we have time, I will create more examples with you. But right now, let's shift gears. I'll also be checking the chat to see if there are further questions. Okay? And we're going to have just a quick little study of phrasal verbs related to the weather, right? It is April. Happy April to you all. Do you know the expression? April, oh my gosh, look at me. April showers, that's what I meant. April showers bring May flowers, meaning the rain showers. And we've had lots of rain. We've even had snow, but rain is in the forecast next week. April showers bring May flowers. So we deal with all the rain, knowing that in May, all the flowers will come out. Warm up was a phrasal verb you saw last month, so I'm hoping it's familiar to you. Soak up, let up, and blow over are 3 new phrasal verbs for some of you, or perhaps they're somewhat familiar, we just need to reinforce them. So I'm going to make it a little smaller so you can see everything. How's that? Okay. And I'm going to give you a moment to see if you can put them in sentences. Oops. Again. Hey, thank you for that super sticker. Appreciate it. Do it by process of elimination. If you're certain about one or two, then guess with the other. Agreed. March was still cold, but in April, it's starting to warm up. March was still cold. It wasn't that warm. Maybe there was one warm day here in Massachusetts, but now it's April and it's starting to warm up. Increase in warmth, right? You could say it's starting to get warmer. That's perfectly fine. It's starting to get warmer. But warm up sounds very conversational, and you'll hear that. Oh, the weather's warming up. right? We also warm up food in the microwave, right? It's to make hotter, make warmer. Agreed, my hippo and Edgar, super job. Number 3, you're guessing? Let up. Okay, so my hippo guessed this one, and then Stunning Lad 1 helped us with the other one, which means through process of elimination, this one goes here, right? Let's read. 2, if we're lucky, comma, oh, see how you have to proofread your own writing. So you have to know if that kind of subordinating conjunction is placed initially. I have a dependent clause and I do need a comma here. If we're lucky, we won't see any rain tomorrow. Maybe the predicted storm will just blow over, right? In this case, blow over means leave the area. It won't happen. It won't hit us. If it blows over, the clouds just pass us by and the rain doesn't fall. So storms can blow over. We can use this literally and figuratively. So literally, either it rains or the storm blows over, meaning it moves by and it doesn't rain. But figuratively, it could be like an argument. It'll blow over. Like, don't worry. This difficult time is going to pass, just like the clouds in the sky. So a tension or a crisis can blow over. Okay. We got caught in a downpour. Good noun if you don't know it, right? If the rain pours down, it's called a downpour. We got caught in a downpour. Soaking wet, we ran into a nearby cafe and waited for the rain to let up, right? To lessen, not necessarily stop, but to rain less and become lighter so that we don't get so wet. Let up. Let up. Let up also has a figurative and literal meaning. So literally, if the rain lets up, it becomes weaker. There's less rain and it's very light, so it's easier to get around, right? If someone's complaining constantly all the time, you say, my gosh, she never lets up, right? It never weakens, it never lessens. And 4, after winter, people are always eager to soak up the warm spring sun because the days are longer, right? Soak up, absorb. Okay, you can let me know. Do you like to soak up the sun? Do you get outside more? Do you get outside more in the spring and summer when there's a lot of sun? Do you like to soak up the sun or do you stay away from it? Some people don't like sun on their skin. But I think, it feels good, at least a little bit of it. Soak up the sun. So if it's raining in your area, I hope it lets up soon. I hope the sun comes out and you can soak it up. If there are storm clouds coming, I hope they blow over. If it's cold, I hope it warms up for you. Warm up, blow over, let up, and soak up. And always pay attention to the grammar with the phrasal verbs. No object. You could warm up food, but in this context, no object. No object. No object. Object. Soak up what? Soak up the sun. Soak up the sunshine. Soak up the warmth. Okay, so always be aware whether there's an object or not. Take vitamin D. Yes. Raining cats and dogs. Again, I'll give some practice to my members on the community tab. So if you're a member, check back soon because the tasks will appear within the next hour or so. And the recording, of course, is available to one and all. Okay, so we've gained a little bit more clarity on connecting words. It is a big topic. If you ever want to go deeper into a specific group, we can. That's something we can do, for example, in May, and talk only about the fanboys or only about sentence adverbs. We can do that. Also, I do have specific videos on these topics. There's a whole playlist on conditionals, right? Because if conditionals are tricky with the verb forms. Okay, create your own examples. If you're watching the recording, you can put examples in the comments. for me to check. And as we're wrapping up, members, feel free to put an example of any of the new words or conjunctions in this sentence, and I'll do a quick read. But I'm just going to remind everybody that the movies that I talked about are in the movie Power Pack. Let me scroll way back up to that and remind you that the movie Power Pack is available. It is free, totally free. And I'm going to put that in the chat again. Okay, if you don't have a copy or the download of that, just click the link, give your email address, and you will have your movie Power Pack. Listening, reading practice to build vocabulary and grammar. And you can also work on pronunciation too. Okay? All right, I will be posting those post-lesson tasks very soon for you all, my members. I also want to mention that my lifelong learners on Patreon have voted, and they voted to be a news reporter for a day. So we have 2 group classes on April 12th and 26th. If your level is B2 or higher, we're going to have fun being a news reporter for a day. And we're going to focus on writing and speaking. If you join, as soon as you join on Patreon, you get access to a whole bunch of listening quizzes, past Zoom recordings. So there's a lot that you get right off the bat. There's a good expression. Right off the bat means right away. So if that interests you, feel free to click the link. Let me put Patreon there. Get that for you there. Yes, 10 reviews in that pack. And Patreon members also have some movie reviews. Some of them overlap with the Power Pack, and some of them are unique. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you. I also want to say, again, members, check the community tab soon. Thank you to all my members, and thank you to those kind-hearted patrons on Patreon. I appreciate the support. I appreciate a special way of studying together, guys. Okay. Any final questions? It's dry at the moment. Yes. We've had some rain. It's dry at the moment, though. Comma, though. In that sense, though is not acting as a subordinating conjunction. It's at the end. I'd say it's more like a sentence adverb. It acts like however. It acts like however, and we can stick it at the end in that manner. Not so formal, not as formal as however. Okay? You're very welcome. Thank you all. I wish you a wonderful weekend. And again, please visit the community tab for practice. Thank you, guys. Take care.